All right, welcome back. Today we're doing something a little bit different for this deep dive.
Yeah, a bit of a departure for us.
Usually, we're deep in tech trends or some obscure historical mystery, but today we are strapping on our boots, metaphorically, I guess, and maybe literally.
We're looking at a very specific coordinate on the map, and honestly, it's arguably the most controversial coordinate in the European travel world right now.
We're talking about Bansko, Bulgaria.
Yeah.
And look, if you have opened TikTok or Instagram in the last, 6 months, the algorithm has definitely found you.
Oh, 100%. It's unavoidable.
You've seen the videos. They're super catchy. They all promise the same thing. The cheapest ski resort in Europe.
And they flash this text on the screen, right? $3 pints, $10 lift passes.
Right.
This whole idea of a budget utopia where you can live like a king on, pocket change.
Exactly. And the visuals they're stunning. You get these incredible drone shots of pristine white peaks. I mean, they look exactly like the Alps.
They do. It's visually compelling. And then they cut to, like, cozy roaring fires, people clinking glasses of rakia, these huge plates of sizzling meat. It looks like St. Moritz or Courchevel.
But the promise is that the price tag is straight out of 1996.
Right. It's sold as the ultimate travel hack, a place where the system is, for once, broken in your favor.
But, and this is why we're here today, we've got a stack of sources in front of us. We have budget audits, field reports from this current season, and some pretty gritty forum discussions. And they paint a picture that is, let's call it, complicated.
Complicated is a very polite way to put it. There's a massive, and I mean massive, disconnect between the filtered Instagram reel and the forensic reality on the ground.
So here's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to perform a full forensic audit of Bansko. We're not just looking at the pretty picture.
No, we're going past the hype.
We're going to break down the specific budget, what it actually costs, not what some influencer with a affiliate link says it costs. We're going to give you the survival guide for the logistics, which, from what I've read, can be an absolute nightmare if you go in blind.
Oh, they can ruin your trip, absolutely.
And ultimately, we're going to help you figure out if you're the kind of person who will find this place charming and gritty and alive, or the kind of person who's going to want to leave after about 4 hours.
And to do that, I think we have to start by debunking the biggest myth of all, right out of the gate.
Yeah.
That $10 lift pass,
Yeah.
it doesn't exist. It's a ghost.
So it's a total fabrication, just made up for clicks.
It's a relic of history.
Yeah.
I mean, it hasn't existed for a decade. The idea that you could just rock up to a European ski resort and pay $10 for a lift ticket is, frankly, absurd.
But the queue for the gondola, that's real.
Oh, that is very real. And our sources describe it, and I'm quoting here, as a 2-hour logistical combat zone.
Wow. Okay. That sounds terrifying. And the sensory experience itself seems to be this huge contradiction.
How do you mean?
Well, you've got the drone shots, right? These UNESCO World Heritage Mountains Peak Viren is nearly 3,000 meters high. It looks pristine.
Right, alpine beauty.
But then you get to the ground level reports, and the reality involves heavy coal smoke hanging in the air, broken pavement, and some very, very aggressive street hustlers.
And yet, and this is the nuance we really want to get to, if you can strip away that social media hype and look past some of that grit, there is a soul to Bansko.
Okay.
There's something there that you just cannot find in a polished corporate resort like Aspen or Valdez. We're talking ancient stone taverns, a chaotic aliveness, and this weirdly booming digital nomad scene. It's a strange mix.
It sounds like a place that really demands a certain type of traveler. You have to know what you're getting into.
Oh, absolutely do.
So let's back up and set the scene. Before we even get to the money, we need to understand what this place actually is. Because from the research, it seems like Bansko is having a bit of an identity crisis.
A massive identity crisis. To really get Bansko, you have to look at its timeline. If you went back, say, 15 years, this was a sleepy Bulgarian mountain town.
Right, not a major destination.
No. It had some basic infrastructure, but the main tourists were kind of two groups. You had the British stag does.
Bachelor parties.
Exactly. Guys looking for cheap beer and a laugh.
Yeah.
And then you had the hardcore budget skiers who just did not care about comfort. They just wanted snow and a bed, and that was it.
The Wild East of the European ski scene.
That's the perfect term for it. But that demographic has shifted, and it's shifted dramatically. Bansko was sort of pivoted almost by accident to become what people are calling the digital nomad capital of Europe.
How did that happen?
Well, you have these specific institutions that have driven it. There's a place called Co-working Bansko, which was one of the first big hubs. And now there's this huge annual event called Nomad Fest.
So it's an organized movement?
It is now. It attracts thousands of these location-independent workers. Software developers, marketers, crypto traders. They come for the low Bulgarian tax rate and the surprisingly high-speed internet.
Which creates this fascinating and probably slightly jarring social mix.
It's incredibly jarring. So you got a local grandma living a very traditional life, chopping wood for the winter stove. Next door, you might have a rowdy bachelor party in neon onesies playing loud music.
And then in the cafe down the street,
You have a graphic designer from Berlin and a programmer from London sitting with their MacBooks, sipping flat whites and talking about their SaaS startup. It's a surreal blend.
and what has that done to the economy of the town?
Well, it's distorted it. That influx of tech money has driven up real estate and rent significantly. But, and this is fascinating, our sources all note that it has stabilized the restaurant quality year-round.
Oh, that's an interesting side effect. Why?
Because you have residents now. People aren't just there for a 5-day ski trip. They're staying for 3 or 4 months. So the town has to function 12 months a year.
It can't just be a tourist trap.
Exactly. The food has to be good enough to keep someone coming back on a Tuesday in November, not just a Saturday in February when the town is packed with tourists who will never return.
That makes sense. Now, visually, let's talk about the layout. Because looking at the maps in our source material, the town seems physically split, like 2 different cities entirely.
This is maybe the most important thing to understand about the geography. It is the Great Divide. Bansko is 2 worlds, and they are glued together, sometimes uncomfortably.
We're in the Pirin Mountains, which are a UNESCO site. Serious alpine terrain.
Yep. But the town itself is split by altitude and, I guess, by vibe.
So walk us through the Old Town first. That's the lower part of the town.
Correct. The Old Town is lower down the slope, and this is the historic heart. We're talking cobblestone streets that will absolutely twist your ankle if you're not careful.
I can picture it.
Stone chimneys puffing out that coal smoke we mentioned, old ladies sitting on their steps selling hand-knit wool socks and jars of homemade jam. It genuinely feels like you stepped back into 1850. It's quiet, it's cultural, it's authentic.
Okay. And then you walk, what, 20 minutes uphill?
Yeah, a 20-minute walk uphill brings you to the Gondola area or the new town.
And the change is that dramatic.
It's jarring. You go from quiet cobblestones to neon lights, sex shops, strip clubs, pizza by the slice joints, and these massive kind of soulless concrete apartment hotels. It's aggressive tourism infrastructure slammed right next to a centuries-old village.
One of our sources described it as a psychological split. One side feels like history and culture, and the other feels like a budget version of Las Vegas in the snow.
That's a perfect description. And depending on where you book your hotel, you will have 2 completely different vacations. If you stay up in the new town, you might think Bansko is nothing but a cheap party strip.
And if you stay down in the Old Town,
You might think it's this quiet, charming cultural retreat. You have to know which side of that invisible line you want to be on.
okay, let's get into the numbers. The financial forensic audit. This is what people really want to know. Is it actually cheap, or is that just brilliant marketing?
Well, first, the currency. We're operating in Bulgarian leva, the BGN, and it's pegged to the euro at a rate of roughly 2 leva to 1 euro, which gives it great stability.
Which is helpful for budgeting.
Very. But let's go straight to the lift pass, because this is the biggest pain point in all of our research.
The TikToks promise $10. The reality is...
The reality is that a daily lift pass fluctuates a bit, but you are looking at around 90 to 100 leva.
Okay, so 90 to 100 leva. What's that in US dollars?
That is roughly 50 to 55 US dollars.
Okay, let's just pause there. $55. That is not budget in the way, say, Southeast Asia's budget. That's real money.
No, it's not. And here's the crucial context. If you compare that to a small local resort in Austria or France, it's barely cheaper. Maybe 10% cheaper, if that.
So for a European skier, the saving on the pass itself is minimal.
Exactly. It might not be worth the flight. However, and this is the massive however, if you are American.
Right. Where a day pass at Vail or Aspen is pushing, what, $250, even $300 on a holiday weekend?
To an American, $55 feels practically free. To a European, it can feel overpriced for the size and quality of the resort.
So why is it so high relative to the local cost of living?
It's a classic monopoly. The entire resort is run by one operator called Ulan. They have 0 competition, so they can and do keep the lift pass prices disproportionately high.
So the skiing isn't where you save the big money. The savings come from the lifestyle surrounding the skiing.
Precisely. This is where Bansko's value proposition really kicks in. Let's talk accommodation. Our data shows 3 pretty distinct tiers.
Okay.
You've got your budget tier. This is your hostels, your basic guest houses. You can still find a bed in one of these for 40 to 60 leva.
So $22 to $33 a night.
Yeah, which is incredible for any ski town anywhere in the world.
Absolutely.
But the sweet spot, and this is where I think the real magic is the mid-range.
What does that look like?
You can get a really solid one-bedroom apartment in a modern complex, usually with access to a pool and a sauna in the building, for 100 to 150 leva.
Which is $55 to $80 a night.
$55 to $80.
And let's be clear. For $80 a night, you're not getting a cramped hotel room where you're forced to eat out for every single meal. You're getting a full apartment.
A full apartment. You get a kitchen, a living room, a balcony. It completely changes the financial math of the trip because you're not forced to pay restaurant prices for breakfast and lunch. You can just go to the supermarket.
And then what about the top end for someone who wants luxury?
The high end is basically one place, the Kempinski Hotel. That's the only true 5-star ski and ski out spot in town. And that's going to run you over 400 leva, so upwards of $220 a night.
So let's put it all together. Our sources built this cruiser budget profile for that mid-range traveler. What's the all-in daily cost?
They estimate a daily cost of about $140 US.
And that 140 covers everything.
Everything. Your apartment, your lift pass, a full dinner out at a nice place, and a few drinks.
Now let's compare that. Let's put that in context. Say, Val d'Isère in the French Alps. What does $140 get you there?
In Val d'Isère, $140 gets you your lift pass and maybe a modest lunch, a sandwich and a Coke on the mountain.
That's it.
That is it. You still haven't paid for your hotel, your dinner, or your après-ski drinks. In Bansko, that same amount of money buys you what feels like a fairly luxurious lifestyle.
That is a really powerful comparison. It's not that the skiing is free, it's that your existence there is affordable. You can live well without watching every single penny.
That's the perfect way to phrase it. And that extends to food and drink, but you have to be smart about it. There's a huge slope versus town pricing index in our notes.
Oh, right, the burger index. I saw this.
Exactly. If you eat on the slope at the ski bars up on the mountain, you are paying captive audience prices. It's expensive. A burger is about 30 leva.
$16 US for a burger.
$16 for a burger that our sources unanimously describe as school cafeteria quality. We're talking frozen patties, limp lettuce. It's just overpriced fuel.
But if you wait and go down into the town for dinner...
Whole different world. If you go to a Mahana, one of those traditional stone taverns, you can get a massive dinner for 2 people. I'm talking wine, salads, and a huge mixed grill meat platter for 60 to 80 leva total.
So $33 to $44 for a feast that you probably can't even finish.
Not even close. It's incredible value.
And the alcohol index. I feel like this is a big driver for a lot of the tourism.
It definitely is. In the supermarket, a local beer is about 1.50 leva. That's less than $1. And on the main strip, in the new town, happy hour often offers 2 beers for 10 leva, so about $5.
It is incredibly cheap to drink there.
It is.
Yeah.
Which, fuels that party atmosphere we mentioned, for better or for worse.
Okay, so the financial audit checks out. It's high value, if not necessarily rock bottom cheap anymore. But now we have to talk about the logistics, because reading through these field reports, this seems to be where the dream falls apart for a lot of people.
This is the friction.
The friction in Bansko seems incredibly high.
Yeah, we call this section of our notes the survival guide for a reason. There are traps here that can genuinely ruin your trip if you aren't prepared for them.
And trap number 1 is, it's legendary, the gondola queue.
The gondola queue.
I've heard horror stories about this. It's just one main gondola to get everyone up the mountain.
One main gondola from the town. It has a capacity of maybe 2,000 people per hour. But on a busy morning during, say, the February school holidays, you can have 15,000 people trying to get up the mountain.
The math does not work.
It does not work. The reality is, if you arrive at the gondola station at 8:30 in the morning, which feels like a perfectly reasonable time to start your ski day, you will wait.
For how long?
For 2 to 3 hours.
2 to 3 hours standing in ski booths. That sounds like a special kind of torture.
It's a logistical combat zone.
Yeah.
People get angry, they push, they're yelling.
Yeah.
You're just standing there in the cold, holding your heavy skis, watching the best part of the morning just waste away. It breaks your spirit before you even touch the snow.
It's insane. But our sources all say there is a hack.
There is a hack. And honestly, this single piece of advice is probably worth the entire deep dive. It's called the taxi hack.
Okay, lay it on us. What is it?
So there's a paved road that goes all the way up the mountain. It runs parallel to the gondola line.
Right.
You can pay about 10 levaso, $5 to a shuttle van, or a shared taxi in the parking lot. And they will drive you directly to the upper station, completely bypassing the gondola and the queue.
Wait. So for $5, you can skip a 2 to 3 hour wait.
Yes.
Then why on earth doesn't everyone do this? Why is there still a line?
That is the great mystery of Bansko. It's baffling. I think people see the line and they just assume they have to join it.
Right.
Or they have this sunk cost fallacy because the gondola ride is technically included in their lift pass, so they don't want to pay extra.
But from a pure economic standpoint,
It makes no sense. The time value of money makes this the only logical choice. You're on vacation. Spending $5 to save 2 hours of your holiday is the biggest no-brainer in the history of travel.
okay, so if you're listening to this and you're going to Bansko, take the taxi. Don't be a hero. Just do it.
100%.
All right, let's talk about trap number 2, the gear rental situation, the Shark Tank.
This one is less about convenience and more about actual safety. As you walk through the streets, especially up near the gondola, you will be physically pulled into shops by touts.
Like they'll grab your arm.
They can be that aggressive, yes. Come in, my friend. Best price, best ski. It feels more like a North African bazaar than a European ski town.
And I'm guessing the best price comes with a pretty significant catch.
The gear is often old, poorly maintained, and sometimes outright dangerous. We're talking skis with rusted edges that won't grip on ice.
Yeah.
Boots that are so old and packed out your foot will be swimming in them. And the binding.
The bindings are the mechanism that releases your boot in a fall, right?
Exactly. And our expert source mentioned a terrifyingly specific detail. He saw multiple 100-kilogram menso, big guys, being put on skis where the bindings were set to a din of 3.
Whoa. Okay, we need to unpack that. For the listener who has never skied, explain what a din setting is and why a 3 is so bad for a big guy.
Okay, so the din setting determines how much force is required for the ski to pop off your boot. It's your primary safety release. If you're a 100-kilo man skiing with any kind of power, you need a high setting, maybe a 7, an 8, or even higher, so the ski stays on when you apply pressure in a turn.
And a setting of 3 is 4.
A setting of 3 is for a small child, or a very, very light beginner on their first day.
So what happens if a grown man tries to ski on a din of 3?
The second he puts any real pressure on the edge of the ski, it'll just pop off instantly. He'll face plant, and he will almost certainly tear a ligament or break something. It's pure, dangerous negligence on the shop's part.
So the advice here is very clear. Do not trust the guy on the street just because he calls you my friend.
Correct. The fix is to pre-book your gear online with a reputable shop. Our sources mention a couple, Sakiris and Sankiski, as being reliable. Or, at the very least, learn how to check your own DN settings before you leave the shop.
Right. And speaking of trust, there's one more scam we absolutely need to flag. The VIP pass.
The classic street hustle. You'll see guys hanging around the gondola queue selling these VIP cards that they promise will let you skip the line.
And they don't work.
They're worthless pieces of plastic. The only true VIP access is for guests at the Kempinski Hotel and a few other very select high-end chalets. Buying a card from a random guy on the street is a complete scam. Don't do it. Got it. Okay, let's widen the lens a bit. We've talked about the town layout and the scams. But what does it actually feel like to just be there? We touched on the smoke earlier, but I want to get into the nitty-gritty of the environment.
The atmospheric reality is, well, it's unavoidable. Bansko sits in a valley. And in the winter, you get frequent temperature inversions.
Can you explain that concept for us?
Sure. It's when a layer of warm air sits on top of a layer of cold air near the ground. It acts like a lid on a pot. It traps everything right at street level.
And in Bansko's case, it's trapping smoke.
A lot of smoke.
Yeah.
Because many of the locals still heat their homes with coal or wood, and you've got plenty of old diesel cars. All that particulate matter gets trapped.
One of our sources described this smell as a barbecue gone wrong.
That is a very vivid and accurate description. It's a heavy, acrid smell. And honestly, if you have asthma or any respiratory issues, this is a serious consideration. The air quality index can get very, very bad on those inversion days.
So what can you do about it? Look for accommodation with an air purifier. That's a huge plus. And generally, the higher up the hill you stay, near the gondola, the slightly better the air tends to be.
And then there's the physical safety on the ground itself, the sidewalks.
The quote from the notes is icy death traps.
That's blunt.
It's accurate. There's very little municipal salting or maintenance in the town. You have broken paving stones and potholes. They get covered with a thin layer of snow, which then melts and refreezes into sheer ice.
So just walking home from dinner is a hazard.
Honestly, it's arguably more dangerous than the skiing. You see people everywhere doing that little penguin walk, just trying not to fall. Fashion goes out the window. You need good boots with heavy tread, no sneakers.
Right. And while you're carefully penguin walking, you'll probably encounter this stray dogs.
You will. Packs of them.
Now, this might scare some people, the idea of large packs of dogs roaming the streets.
It can be intimidating if you're not used to it, but the reality is that they're community dogs. If you look closely, you'll see they have tags in their ears. They're vaccinated, they're fed by the locals and the restaurant owners. They're generally very chill.
So they're not aggressive.
Not at all. They're just part of the town's fabric.
Yeah.
They're like unofficial citizens, just hanging out by the supermarket, hoping for a piece of sausage.
The humans, on the other hand, can be a bit more aggressive, specifically the promoters on Piran Street.
Yes. This is the seedier side of the Newtown experience.
Yeah.
If you walk down the main strip, Piran Street, at night, you'll be accosted by guys trying to get you into strip clubs.
And they use the classic free entry, free shot line.
The oldest trick in the book, which is, of course, never free.
It's a trap.
It is a total trap. You go in, you order a drink, suddenly a bottle of cheap sparkling wine that you didn't ask for appears on your table, and then you're handed a bill for 500 euros with a very large bouncer conveniently blocking the only exit.
Wow. It's that blatant.
It's a tale as old as time, but tourists still fall for it every single night. The advice from all our sources is simple. Keep walking. Don't engage. Don't even make eye contact.
Okay, let's move to the main event here. The skiing. We've survived the queue, we've dodged the promoters, we've checked our Dion settings, we're finally on the mountain. How is it?
It's a mixed bag. The stats say you have 75 kilometers of pistes. Now, by alpine standards, that is small.
Right, so if you're an expert skier who's used to, say, the Three Valleys in France or Whistler in Canada...
You're going to be bored by day 3. You'll have skied everything, probably multiple times. There just isn't enough terrain to keep an advanced skier entertained for a full week.
But for beginners or intermediates?
For them, it's actually quite extensive. There's a lot to do. The bigger issue for everyone is often the snow quality.
Okay.
Because of its southern location and the weather patterns, the resort relies very heavily on snow cannons to build up a base.
And artificial snow just feels different than natural snow.
It does. It tends to create a very hard, fast, icy surface. If you fall, you don't stop. You just slide. It's not that fluffy, forgiving powder you might dream about from Utah or Japan. It is hard pack. You need sharp edges on your skis.
And there is one specific run that seems to haunt everyone's memories in these reports, the infamous ski road.
Ah, the ski road. Yes. It sounds so lovely on the map, doesn't it? It's a 7-kilometer blue run that connects the main mountain area all the way back down to the town.
You imagine this gentle, scenic cruise home at sunset.
That's the dream. The reality, at 4:30 in the afternoon, it's a complete disaster zone.
Why? What happens?
Well, you have thousands of people trying to get down the mountain at the exact same time. The snow, because of the significant drop in elevation, has turned to giant piles of heavy, wet slush.
Oh, no.
And you got terrified beginners who can't turn, just snow plowing straight down the middle. You have experts trying to weave through them at high speed. And in between the slush piles are patches of sheer ice.
Our source described being taken out by an out-of-control snowboarder and sliding 20 meters on his back. He called it a battlefield.
It is. It's absolute chaos. The fix here is very simple. Either download on the gondola, just take the lift back down, it saves your knees anyway.
No.
Or make sure you ski that road before 3:00 p.m.
Yeah.
Do not be on the ski road at 4:30. It's just not worth the injury risk.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of the negatives. The ice, the smoke, the scams, the crowds. It sounds pretty grim. But we promised to talk about the soul of Bansko.
Yes.
Because despite all of this, people love this place. People keep going back year after year. It has a real cult following.
It does. And this is where that great divide we talked about is so important. To find the soul, you have to leave the neon lights and the chaos of the gondola area. You have to go down into the old town and find a Mahana.
Tell us about the Mahana experience. Our source had a pretty magical night at a place called Baryakova.
This story, I think, paints the perfect picture. Just contrast the chaos of the ski road with this. It's a Tuesday night. You step down into a stone basement with low ceilings. There's a huge roaring fire in the corner. The walls are covered in traditional Bulgarian tapestries and old farm tools.
So the atmosphere is immediately different.
Totally different. And you order kapama.
Which is...
It's this massive traditional clay pot stew.
Yeah.
It's got sauerkraut, rice, several kinds of meat, pork, chicken, and a spicy blood sausage called sudzug. And it's all slow cooked together for about 6 hours. It is heavy, hearty, mountain comfort food.
That sounds absolutely incredible.
And while you're eating this amazing food, a live folk band starts playing an accordion, a clarinet, a drum. And the key thing is, they aren't just playing for the tourists.
What do you mean?
In the story we have, there was a local Bulgarian family in the corner celebrating a birthday. And when the band started a particular song, the whole room, locals and tourists alike, stood up and joined in a horo. It's a traditional circle dance.
That's the moment, isn't it? That's the aha moment where you realize you're not just in a generic ski resort.
It is. You are in the Balkans. You are experiencing a real culture that has been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. And the final punchline. The bill for 4 people with wine and that massive stew that they couldn't finish was $50.
$50.
That is the magic.
Yeah.
That's the soul of Bansko. That warmth, that cultural connection, that feeling of being in a real place with real history, not just a resort built for profit.
And the service culture matches that, right? It's described in the notes as scrappy hospitality.
Yes, it's not polished. You're not going to get a concierge bowing to you. But if you stay in a family-run guest house, the owner will probably meet you at the door with a shot of homemade rakia.
Which is described as fruit brandy / paint stripper.
It can be.
Yeah.
But it's a gesture of genuine warmth. It's rough around the edges, but it's real in a way that you often lose in those corporate mega resorts where every interaction is standardized and scripted.
I love that. It really does sound like a place that demands you to meet it halfway.
That's a great way to put it. You have to be willing to embrace the chaos to find the reward.
So before we get to our final verdict, let's briefly touch on the alternatives. If the queue or the ice sounds like too much, but you still want to ski in Bulgaria, where else can you go?
There are 2 other main options. First, you have Borovets.
And how does that compare to Bansko?
Borovets is an older, purpose-built resort. It's much closer to the capital, Sofia. The big advantage is convenience. Most of the hotels are genuinely ski in, ski out. You don't have that single gondola bottleneck because the lift system is better integrated with the village.
So it solves the biggest logistical headache.
It does. But it's not really a town. It's just a collection of hotels in the woods. You lose the culture, you lose the old town, you lose the Mahanas. It feels a bit more like a 1980s time capsule. It's for people who want to focus purely on the skiing.
Okay. And the other one?
The other one is Pamparovo, which is much further south and at a lower altitude. It's known as the sunniest resort in Bulgaria, and the slopes are very, very flat.
So good for families or first-timers.
Perfect for them. It's the ideal place for families with young kids or for total beginners who are nervous. You won't get scared there. But it's a long drive from the airport, and if it's a warm winter, the snow can be a real issue because it's not as high up as Bansko.
Okay, that's great context. Let's bring this all home. We like to do a verdict matrix for our listeners. Who is Bansko actually for? Let's break it down by traveler profile. First up, the backpacker.
For the backpacker, it's a resounding yes, a hard yes. It is incredibly social. The hostels are great. They're full of energy. You can have an amazing week of skiing for under $600 all in. If you're young, broke, you want to party, you want to meet people from all over the world, this is paradise.
Okay, next profile, the mid-range couple. Looking for a romantic getaway.
This is a yes-S, but with conditions. The old town is genuinely romantic, and the value you get on apartments with spas is incredible. But the condition is, you must avoid the peak school holiday weeks. Do not go in mid-February.
It's just not worth the crowds.
Not at all. Yeah. And you have to embrace the hacks. Spend the extra money on the taxi to get up the mountain and a private transfer from the airport. If you remove those friction points, you'll have a fantastic time.
Got it. Third profile, the family, with young kids.
This one is a maybe, and it's leaning heavily towards NO.
That's a strong verdict. Why?
Because navigating that 2-hour gondola queue with 2 crying children and 4 sets of skis is, as our source so brilliantly put it, a recipe for divorce.
I can imagine.
The broken, icy sidewalks are a nightmare of strollers. The heavy coal smoke is not great for little lungs. The only way it's doable is if you stay at a high-end hotel like the Kempinski that has its own private shuttle and kids club and can shield you from the chaos. Otherwise, go to Pamparovo.
And finally, the luxury traveler. Someone used to the best of the best.
An emphatic hard no. Just
Or
to
no.
note, if you are used to the service levels of St. Moritz, Asken, or even Valdir, you will be miserable. The service infrastructure is simply not there.
It's just a different standard.
It's 3-star Swiss standards at best. You will be frustrated by the wait times, the quality of the food on the slopes, and the general roughness around the edges. Save your money and go to Cortina.
So to summarize the whole deep dive, Bansko is not the champagne lifestyle on a lemonade budget that TikTok promised you. That era is over.
No, that ship has sailed. The new tagline should be, affordable adventure with grit. It demands patience. You have to be smart about the logistics. But if you are curious and you're willing to embrace that chaos, it rewards you with something very unique and memorable.
And a final tip on the best time to go.
Mid-March. The crowds from the school holidays are gone. The days are longer, the sun is out, and the snow softens up into nice spring conditions. That's the golden window.
Perfect. And I think I'll leave you, our listener, with a final thought to mull over from this. We talk a lot about finding authentic travel experiences, and we usually mean finding a place that's untouched by tourism. But Bansko is this strange paradox. It's a town that was basically built for British tourists and is now being reshaped by digital nomads, all existing alongside local grandmas and strip club promoters.
It really raises the question, is this weird, messy, contradictory mix actually the new authentic reality of the Balkans? It's not a museum piece of the past. It's a living, breathing, chaotic thing that's happening right now.
Something to think about while you're waiting in that 2-hour gondola queue, or better yet, while you're sitting comfortably in the taxi driving right past it.
Exactly.
Stay safe on the ice, everyone.
Nozdrov.
Nozdre, we'll see you on the next deep dive.